Karen the Warp Spinster here. Thank you for joining me today on my channel. We will be working with scrap strips again today. I will tell you up front that this is a process video, which means I will be asking myself questions and pondering, and you will go through the process of my thinking when I'm designing. If that is not your kind of video, if you're looking for a step-by-step, here's how to make a block in 3 minutes, this isn't going to be your cup of tea. So I hope you'll join us again sometime. Thanks for stopping by. Let's get started on this. This is an idea that popped into my head, and I don't quite know where it's going. As usual, I am just doing this sort of off the cuff, and a picture that I have in my head that may or may not work out. It's sort of an improvisational, kind of adapted log cabin-ish sort of thing, except instead of going in the round, well, in the square, it will be built mostly 2 dimensions in 2 directions. So I'm going to just get started. I have a variety of strips in different colors, a few prints that read pretty much as solid, but mostly solids, and then a lot of white scrap strips. First thing I'm going to start out doing is finding a couple of strips, and I think I'll start with something that's fairly short. This isn't all that short. And I want to do let me think about this. Strip like this. Yes, all right, so I may do a wider white strip though. It doesn't have to be very long, but I can always, of course, cut these. So I'm going to sew this together, and I'll show you where I'm going so that I can maybe not rush through this, but maybe fast forward you through what I do or just come back to it. So I want to sew these together, and then I'm going to cut it off at some length, probably fairly short, because I'm going to be building out from it and it will just get larger and larger. And then I'm going to start doing it crosswise. So I'll do a horizontal piece that will go this way. Then I'll cut that. Maybe I'll do another white strip up here, not sure yet. Cut that, and then start adding on this side. Then I may add something and start working on this side over here so that it's kind of a asymmetrical, funky, woven sort of look. I guess the weaver, as in the warped part of my, warped and weft part of my business name. So I'm going to start out with that, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like if indeed I don't change my mind while I'm doing that. This is the piece at this point. I cut off some. I was tempted to do it a little shorter, but I think I still want some length here, and I can always cut it shorter later if I wish. So I'm going to try laying out a couple of pieces here just to see. Right now it looks a lot like a log cabin that has a rectangular center instead of a square. And I love that style. It's just not what I'm going for. I think I may want a white strip here, and then this strip up there. So I'm going to start with that, or that's my plan, as I go away, and then I'll come back because I think I want to start building out over here, unless that's going to, we'll see when I get back. Already I'm back. This was what I originally planned, and I've already changed my mind, and I want to do this, and then either this or this. I'm not sure. Depends, I suppose, on how much I want to emphasize the negative space as compared to the colors. This makes the negative space more continuous and join together. This joins these pieces together more. That's looking more like a log cabin to me, which is, log cabin's one of my favorite blocks. It's not what I'm going for here. I think I want to do that. However, this is why I warned off the people who don't like process videos. As I'm doing this, before I finish down here, I thought, do I want to build out going this way over here, whereas this one, the top, is building out that way? How would that look? Let me take this piece, which is left over from that. If I build that out like this, not necessarily with that fabric, of course. What else have I got? Oh, let's do a red color down here. Add some oomph. That's kind of an interesting idea. I wish we should do a YouTube live sometime. I wish I had you to vote on this for me. I'm not swearing that I would follow what you voted on, but it's good to have other eyes and other thoughts going on. If I take that away and just build that or that. I'm going to try this. We'll see what happens. I think this is how I'm going to do it, but a word on construction here. I want to build out some more over here so that there's a strip running like this, which means I need to put this piece on top, and then I'll need to put that there before I sew this on. But in order to sew this piece across here, I have to have this already stitched, which it already is, but I still want this length down here, this piece left on, but I need to stitch this here. So I'm just going to leave this as a partial seam here, unfinished, which gives me the opportunity to sew that on, and then I can finish that seam. So that's a partial seam, which is very handy for this kind of rotating around a center process. I love the look that partial seams allow you to do, so I use it a lot. All right, that's my plan. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew this piece up here. Then I'm going to sew at least this piece, maybe another white strip. And do I want it wide? This is going to be giving me a lot of negative space with smaller pops of color. That's what I think I'm looking for here. You may decide that you want the color to be more evident. How am I feeling about this? It's really looking like it is, sorry, my brain's running, like it's a log cabin. This is sort of looking like a half log cabin. What if we did something like this? And I'll worry about the construction in a minute. I'm sure there's a way we can do it. Just don't want to think about it right now. Now it's looking kind of like a football goal post. And I'll confess that football is not my jam. What if we do that? Then it starts to be less like a traditional log cabin block. So I'm going to leave this with the partial seam in case I want to put something down there. I might want to do that after I have more going on over here, and then it starts looking less like, okay. Now, what's the order I'm going to do this? First on the order is sewing that on. That I know. So I can do that. And then these two pieces will go on. Then I'll come back and worry about those. All right, I'm back because now my mind is wondering if I should. This is an unfortunate color next to that, isn't it? I saw a meme on the internet the other day. I don't have a source for it, sorry, the person who first said it, but it said, God knew I would be too powerful with an attention span, so I don't have one. This is, I'm wondering if I want to do some more of this before I put that on. What I'm trying to do here, probably subconsciously because it just came to me, is direct the eye to go vertically and then, ooh, there's a horizontal space. So it keeps it moving around. That's one of the nice things about the log cabin block is that it keeps your eye moving. And if I just do vertical, then the eye's just moving vertically, which is not the effect I want here. Do I want to do that? Or I may want to put that on and then this. So I'm getting more of that woven sort of look. It's very geometric, isn't it? I am doing, when I pictured this in my mind, I had straight horizontal and vertical lines. Of course, you could do wonky things. You could do angled pieces, and maybe in the next one I will do that. I think this is where I'm at with this right now, except that then I've got this space down here. But I was going to do something down here, wasn't I? Now it's beginning to look like the passageways in an Egyptian tomb. But I'm kind of liking it, to be perfectly honest. And of course I could make this block go on forever, but maybe this will be the end of it. So, all right. Sorry, I'm just still thinking. Hope you're still with me. If you're not, or if you are climbing the walls right now, sorry about that. So I could do that. This isn't necessarily the color I'm using, but I could do that. I don't want just these three and then this on top of it because that looks like a flag to me. Nothing against flags, but to me that's distracting. So if I do this first and then this piece, and do I want white at the edge or color? I might want white so that when this combines with other block, I know that's too much orange, so that color's not going to be up there, and probably this isn't going to be yellow. What else have I got here? Ooh, got a green. Bright green. So we can look like the Italian flag now. Maybe I want green up here. No, not with that blue up there, I don't. I know I don't want orange. Do a magenta kind of color, which clashes a little bit with that red. And I changed out the colors there because it does matter visually how much different colors pop different amounts. A little bit of yellow goes a long way is something I always say, because it's a very strong color. This strip is anything but straight. And then a white strip down here. It's going to be a very geometric block, but I think I'm all right with that, especially for something else I have in mind at a later time. Don't know that I like those two colors together there. Maybe I'm looking for another purple. Got so many strips floating around, but you know, this is how I do it, just trying things out. Overall, I think that's where I'm going. What do you think? This is not going to be square, but I don't care. That red almost looks a little funky in there, but I like the punch of color. I've got lots of cool tones here, and then some warm tones. What if I pulled in another red over here instead of that yellow? I can use that yellow. Oh yeah, I like that better. Don't I? No, I don't. I think I like that yellow. All right, so now this is where I want to end up. How am I going to get there? So I just have to work my way back, and this one's going on after this one. It's looking like I'm going to have partial seams here, and that's all right. I think I need to first sew this piece here, and then I'll come back and do this bit on here. This is step one. Step two, and I can put this here. That can go there then, and this will go here, and I'll finish that partial seam. So I'm trying to construct it in an order that I'm not having to do any set-in seams, just straight seams. I do have this one partial seam, but that's an easy thing. So first step, I'm going to sew this to this, and then I will piece together these two and set it on that. And then I'll come back and regroup just so we can review how we're constructing it. You probably caught this. I didn't. With these three pieces sewn together, I'm going to be short on this. So I have a couple of options, and I'm going to have to do a partial seam. Is this even the way I had it? Or was I doing this? Am I doing that now? Improv strikes again. I think I would want some white up there before I did that. I'm sure this is different than how I had it before, but we're going with it. Ooh, kind of like it. And then this goes across there. We'll see how that works when I get everything sewed together. And then I had, I think, this piece down here. Some blue piece. That's a long strip. Let me cut some of that off. Bring it over. But I would definitely want a white piece in there, which I think I had before. still got that 3-piece flag look there. How do I feel about that? I think I'm all right with it, actually. So apparently we have a change of plans here, which is pretty much my life in a nutshell. So we're going to straighten this up a bit. And I'm going to keep this piece for a later block. It could be a crumb, but I've maybe got an inkling for another block. That will go up there eventually, but first I'm going to put on this piece. Do I want another white piece in between there? Nope, that's too much alternating. Color white, color white, color white. That is too regimented. All right, this is next, correct? So I'm going to do these two, sew it on the bottom of that. So the next step will be to straighten this edge, sew those together. This will need a little trimming, it looks like. And then that will be a part of that piece. Then I can sew on this white strip here, then that piece, then that piece. We'll trim that, square it up. It may be too much blue down here, but we'll come back and tackle that in a minute. So next step is to sew these two together. This piece is next, then that piece, then this piece. And we're back for our last section, which will be down here. As I'm looking at this, it's interesting that there are pieces of it that look quite log cabin-y, of course, because it's sort of the process we're using. And I like that. It's kind of an homage to the log cabin. I may call it Cabin Interrupted or something. Now for down here, what color do I want to use? I know I want some white in there, a white strip. Do I want that down there to interrupt this? I could actually find whatever that piece of blue is. Maybe I don't have any more of that blue. Here we go. I could repeat that as if it's jumped across there. So that's an option. I could do it so it's flipped, which is another option, or I could bring in another color entirely. I could bring back this red. Which I think I like better than repeating the blue. Might at some point do that on another block. Not sure that I want to do it here though. In the spirit of Cabin Interrupted, I think I might want to do that where I've got these two stripes. They aren't going to match up exactly because I have different length here. I might make it a little more exaggerated so it doesn't look like I tried and missed. And then another white strip down here, maybe. Then I might almost want something over here, or not. All right, I'm just going to do it this way. You may be screaming at me, the other side of the screen, saying, no, don't do that. I'm trying to keep my arm out of the way while I'm ironing here, pressing, sorry. So I need a white strip on either side of this, and that's going to be trimmed down, which means I may have to rip this seam back a little bit so I have enough to finish that seam, but I'll worry about that in a moment. With those pieces together, I then need to decide where I want this to sit in relation to this. And I think I'd like this to be running about in the middle of that line. So I actually don't have to cut much off there. It looks like just a sliver off there. I can see through here how wide that is. So it looks like maybe only 1/8 of an inch needs to come off here. So I may not have to pull that seam back anymore, but let me trim a little bit off here. Obviously this is not true improv, or I would not be doing all this measuring, but I need to straighten this anyway. Okie dokie. Now I can sew this on and then I can finish that seam. Sorry to be back and forth so much, but in case some of you have not seen a partial seam before, this may be a little extra help in understanding it. This, now I only sewed the seam this far, left some so that I could easily maneuver another piece in there. So that was probably, what, 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch. And now this is a straight line that I can finish that seam. And here's the trimmed block with a few pieces left over that I will save for either my crumb box or maybe a quilt I have rolling around in my head at the moment. It looks like a pretty simple block for all of that pondering and processing, but it has turned out better than I thought it would at the beginning because I made decisions as I went and changed my mind as I went. That's how my brain processes these things, and yours may process a little differently than that, but it's all down to playing with the fabric. I ended it, stopped it, and trimmed it up because it felt finished to me. It may not to you. You might want to add something over here or something over here. Maybe you want some white space over here to balance out. Ooh, actually, I kind of like that. Gives that strip in the middle. It's pretty stripy going across here, but I'm not sure I don't like that better. Let me know in the comments what you like, with or without the white strip on the outside. I'll leave it this way because I can always add white if I want to, but we'll leave that question for you. If you are still with me, thanks for hanging in there through this process and all of this pondering. I will see you again on Wednesday for I know not what yet. Maybe some more with this in a different style. Maybe something else I have in mind. We'll see. Thanks for joining me. See you on Wednesday. In the meantime, be well, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.